All right, so today we're going to deep dive into someone who I think is, well, I think he's super interesting. And I was so excited when I saw this as the source material,
Yeah.
ASD Rocky.
Yeah, A$AP Rocky, a really, really fascinating figure in contemporary hip hop. I think a lot of people maybe know him more from like the headlines or the fashion stuff,
Right,
which
exactly.
we'll talk about. But yeah, going through this excerpt, I was really reminded of just how much he's done musically, like how much he's innovated. And yeah, he's just a really interesting figure.
Absolutely. And I think what's so cool about him is that it's not just the music,
Yeah.
right? It's the fashion, it's the art. Like it's this whole kind of like persona that he's built.
Yeah, definitely like a cultural icon.
So let's start at the beginning. Like, where'd this all
Right.
start?
Well, he's from Harlem, New York, which, as I think most people know, is like the birthplace of so much incredible hip hop.
Right.
I think like the Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, like so many of the pioneers came from Harlem.
It's like in the DNA, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Rocky kind of comes up in that lineage, but he also very much forges his own path. And, his rise to fame really starts in the early 2010s. Like 2011, he drops this mixtape, Live Love ASRE,
Mm-hmm.
and it just explodes. Tracks like Peso and Purple Swag, like,
I remember those.
oh yeah, they were everywhere. And it was
For
this really unique blend of like Houston's chopped and screwed sound
Yeah, explain that.
with that like really raw New York energy that he
Oh
brings.
yeah, I was gonna say for people who may not know what chopped and screwed is.
Yeah, so basically it originated in Houston, and it's this technique of slowing down the tempo and like kind of manipulating the tracks to create this really hazy psychedelic sound.
Okay.
And it was huge in the 90s, but Rocky kind of brought it into a new era,
Yeah,
and fused it with his own style.
totally. And that's what I think makes him so unique is like he's taking all these different influences and kind of like filtering them through his own lens.
Absolutely. And you see that in his fashion too, which we gotta talk
Oh,
about.
you
I mean, the guy is like a walking, talking trendsetter, right?
seriously?
Like Dior, Gucci, Calvin Klein, he's collaborated with all of them.
It's crazy.
It's like he single-handedly brought high fashion into the world of hip hop in a way that we hadn't really seen before.
And it's not just that he's wearing it. It's like he embodies it.
Right, exactly. Like he lives and breathes this aesthetic.
Yeah, and you see it in his music videos too,
Oh, absolutely.
which are insane. Like, have you seen fucking Problems?
Yeah, it's like a mini movie.
It's so good. And then LDOA Dollar Dollar. That one is like trippy and psychedelic,
Yeah, like a moving painting.
literally.
And I think it's interesting how those videos really reflect his artistry. Like they're not just promotional tools, they're like artistic statements.
Totally.
Especially LDOI,
Yeah.
like there's this whole exploration of altered states of consciousness.
Yeah.
And it's not just in the lyrics, it's in the visuals too, like the distorted landscapes and the way everything's kind of like warping and shifting.
Right.
It's super visually appealing, but it also kind of like pulls you into his headspace.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
And I think you see that artistic growth in his albums too.
Oh, for sure.
Like at long last, ASI has this really introspective vibe.
Yeah.
And then you have Testing, which kind of throws everything at the wall.
Yeah, testing was interesting.
It was definitely polarizing.
Yeah,
Some people loved it, some people hated it.
exactly. And I think that's kind of the point with Rocky. Like, he's always pushing boundaries and he's not afraid to experiment.
Which I respect.
Yeah, for sure. Even if it means alienating some people, like, he's not going to be put in a box.
Absolutely. And another thing that's so important to highlight is his activism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he uses his platform to speak out about criminal justice reform, and he supports emerging artists through his AWGE collective.
Oh, yeah. AWGE is awesome.
It's so cool. It's like this creative agency that incubates young talent.
Yeah, it's like a platform for them to showcase their work and kind of like build their careers.
I love that. And it just shows that he's not just about himself.
Yeah.
He's really trying to make a difference.
Yeah, he's definitely using his influence for good.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what makes him so compelling is that he's not just a rapper, he's like a multifaceted person.
Right.
He's an artist, an advocate, an entrepreneur. Like he's got his hands in so many different things.
And through it all,
Yeah.
he's managed to maintain this really authentic persona.
Yeah.
Like you think about the high-profile relationship with Rihanna,
Yeah.
the legal battles he's had,
Yeah. It's like he doesn't shy away from the spotlight.
no matter what.
And I think that's what people connect with, like that realness.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, totally.
So where do you think he goes from here?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Like, he's already achieved so much.
I know.
But there's definitely more to come. There's talk of a new album in the works and his family's growing.
Right.
It's exciting to think about what he'll do next.
I know. I'm really curious to see how his influence continues to shape the world of music and fashion and even activism.
Yeah, he's really blurred the lines between all those things and inspired so many artists.
Pretty amazing.
It's like a legacy in progress.
Totally. So to wrap things up, I think if you want to understand the current state of hip-hop, A$AP Rocky is essential listening.
Absolutely.
His music, his
Yeah.
fashion, his activism, it's all part of this bigger picture.
It really is. Like, how often do you see someone who can move so seamlessly between those worlds and have such a profound impact on each one?
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out his work if you haven't already.
For sure.
All right, that's it for a deep dive on A$AP Rocky. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Catch you next time.